can never know you by studying you. The standard of your destiny is God. So men will never know who they really are, and they will never be fair to themselves until they have known the maker who said, let us make them in our own image. So you see, the real you has his own template. He's seated on his throne, and the day you see him, you will know your state. And Isaiah, before this, has complained about the sins of the world and of his nation, and he has spoken about many evil that Israel has been doing, but didn't make mention of one thing that was wrong with them. He has spoken of idolatry, he has spoken of other stuff, but never spoke of something, because he didn't know. Most of the times, the things we consider on earth is not really considered in heaven. And this man started to see God, and suddenly the image of God changed to him. Then he started to see his incompleteness, as the Bible will say that the Godhead, Jesus is the fullness of the Godhead, and he said you are complete in him. That means that when you see Jesus, you have seen the totality of God, and when you see him again, you have seen the fullness of you. So you will never know your completeness until you have found him, who is Jesus. So the man started to watch God like this, and suddenly he began to curse the version of him that is standing. Suddenly he knew that this is not who I must be, but he was able to fish out the real source of all his incompetence and his incompleteness. He pointed it to one thing. He said, then said I. How he changed the whole narrative is strange. But the man started and says, then said I, woe is me, for I am undone. Sincerely, Jesus. How would the man curse God himself before the blessed God? But he started to see his corrupted nature so deep that he started to curse that nature before the Most High. And he said, woe is me, for I am an incomplete man. I am undone, I'm finished. I am no one. I am a dead man, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell. Have you realized that on the judgment day, God won't tell you your sin? You will know it. You will know it. As you behold him, you will see what you should have been that you were not. You will see. And what you were that you shouldn't have been, you will see it. Jesus won't argue with you. You will curse yourself on the final day when you should see him. Oh yes, I am a man of unclean lips. Isaiah, you are a prophet, you have been prophesying. Why are you now condemning the tongue that prophesied? I am a man, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. This was the only sin that popped out. He was dwelling among idol worshippers. He was dwelling among immoral people. He was dwelling among haters. He was dwelling among men of pride. He was dwelling among, but he looked at everything, and the sin that stood out as the strongest, that is against the children of Israel himself. Prophets were subject to it. Priests were subject to this sin. The people were subject to this sin. Everybody was a victim of this iniquity, and he called it the unclean lips. The unclean lips. And I dwell in the midst of, for my eyes have seen the King and the Lord of hosts. And heaven reacted. Then flew one of the seraphims unto me, having a live coal. If you don't know coal, fire, having a live fire in his hands, which he had taken with the tongues from off the altar. Verse 7, Situfana, and he laid it upon my mouth and said, lo, this has touched thy lips, and thy iniquity is taken away, and thy sin is purged. If you want to purge a man's sin, if you want to separate a man from iniquity, where do you touch? I thought you have to be touching somewhere else, But the angel, the moment the right words were spoken before the Lord, it caused a reaction, and the angel took fire and touched the mouth of a man and sanctified the mouth and said, from today, as your lips is sanctified, sin is dealt with. That means that the root of all sin is in the lips of men, and only the fire can handle it. There is idolatry, but the real source is not the idolatry, it's the wrong speakings. There is pride. The real source are the things, the misuse of the lips. If preachers are not preaching what is right, the people will sin. If the people are not speaking what will right, they'll be vulnerable to evil. Everything starts from there. And he took fire and touched the mouth. Then I thought that would be the only incident.